Hello and welcome. This is Lisa McCradle, your inner wisdom awakener and your consciousness expander. I am coming in today to give you a little mid-month energy update as June is in full motion. Little just updates for what you can expect to happen in the following days and weeks as we usher in this amazing frequency, this kind of intense human redo. So if you like what's happening here, please, please, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment below. I would love to hear your reflections on how June's been for you so far and your excitement and anticipation about what it holds in store for you. So when I prayed into this and was meditating, the first thing that came was jump, was the word jump, which kind of wants to bring in a little bit of frog energy, interestingly enough, which frog energy is about cleansing, it's about purification. And so the image was this jump or big leap, really. So I was sitting with this, like, what does this jump mean? What does this mean? And so if you remember that June's initial energy forecast spoke a lot about the time warp, right? So we are literally leaping, jumping through and over timelines to integrate into new frequencies, new fractions, new expressions, new ways of being. So we're literally like leaping. And the image of leap, it's like, it's not just a walk. We are like in a grand leap, a grand expression of forward movement. We are leaping ahead significantly. And the Light Council was saying that the timelines are, or the projected time for this great awakening, for this next level ascension, that we're actually elevating through much quicker. It's all happening much more intensely, but also more rapidly than they had anticipated, that we are really mastering this elevation, and that everything is just accelerating in response to how quickly we're all activating, embodying, enveloping, and transmitting, transforming. So we're jumping timelines. We're also leaping ahead in consciousness, and we're accelerating everything. So you can expect more of this to come. There are time blips you might be noticing where you look at the clock, and it just happened to me today. And then all of a sudden it's like an hour and a half, and there's just missing blocks of time, or really accelerated blocks of time. Be mindful. Well, you can choose to do whatever you want, but you do not need to allow this to be an alarming expression or experience. Time is very much a construct of third dimensional reality, as is money and a lot of the other things that we had created and empowered, right? And then gave our will over to them, and then they began to disempower us, right? So as a lot of these structures from third dimensional constructs and creation are reorganizing, we'll call it. Some of them will collapse, some will reorganize, reorder, and transform anew. We're having timeline blips. We're having actual time blips. The consciousness of mind is perceiving time in a different way, and it might seem fragmented, and it might just blip. And it's okay. Many of you have experienced timeline or time blips. Can look like deja vus, right? That like kind of the mind can't catch up with the reality. It's also a lot about dimension shifting. So there is a lot going on, friends. There is so much going on. Just stay present and trust, and know that you were made for this, that your soul said yes, and that there's wisdom beyond the limitations of your mind, where your soul wisdom actually really wants to come forth and carry you through in many ways to the promised land. Like, your soul said yes to this experience, and your soul has all the wisdom to take you there. We just must surrender the confines of the mind in order to allow the truest burst of light of your soul's wisdom to be expressed fully and to come through. So we are leaping ahead, and timelines are rapidly disintegrating, and new ones are being laid and created and optimized, and they're intersecting, and keep getting a lot of intersections of timelines. We're making big choices of like, which one are we going to leap on? So the wisdom that's coming in right now, my friends, is hold on to nothing. and allow for everything. And keep your conviction and your truth of how you're willing to feel, both personally, individually, and then collectively. You know, keep aspiring, right, to the greatness of what you know to be possible, what your soul knows to be possible, even if the mind cannot find the configuration, the reconfiguration of what it actually looks like. You know what you want to feel, and you know what feels good. And so stay with those feeling pieces and trust that the soul's wisdom is there in order to show you the guidelines as to how. So the other thing was pause, this idea of pausing, but pausing in motion, which is really confusing to the mind, but again, the soul understands. So number 2 for the mid-month check-in point is it's a pause. So you might feel as if things have kind of slowed down. If you've been on the mechanism of massive movement and activation, you might feel this like kind of yin pause settling in. And now we do have 6 planets in retrograde. So that can give this sensation of things moving backwards or kind of coming, you know, or coming up for us to look at again, right? It's like, oh, there it is again. Oh, there it is again. Oh, there's the shadow of the thing again. And it can have this almost inertia of feeling like it's either moving backwards or that you're in pause. But the thing that's interesting is it's a pause in motion is what they were saying. So I'm like, okay, how do you pause in motion? The pause is necessary for integration because there's been such high level frequency activations that have been pouring in, right? So the pause is always an integration period, right? You can't just keep gathering the corn of the harvest without then taking the corn and moving it into its new form. You can't just keep gathering. You actually have to transmute, right? You gather, you integrate, you realign, you ascend, and you move forward. So there's this pause for integration, and there's an activation of movement happening simultaneously. So what does that look like? It means if your grief has been coming up a lot, right? We're healing a lot of ancestral timeline wounds. We're healing a lot of the 3D of the separation, which brings in the activations of Black Lives Matters, and really moving through. Many of us are moving through a lot of fundamental, deep grief in the cells of our body. Grief and fear are the 2 predominant emotions that seem to be associating and activating right now. So if you're in the presence and in the pause of allowing the emotions to move through, yet you're not getting stuck in them, right? You're not getting into the deep well where you're so overcome with your grief or with your anger that you are paralyzed in it. Right? So you are sitting in the pause of having the receptivity of the emotion. Remember that you, as a human, as a soul on this planet, part of your agreement is to be a filtration system for this massive uprising of emotion and of the old, completed, outdated systems. Like, you're a great filtration system, which means everything's moving through you. We're all becoming more and more amplified in our empathy, more and more empathic. Right? That's so that we can feel the pain of another, and we can also feel the love of another, right? 5th dimension is all about unification. So it means our empathy must increase so that our connectivity in response to one another might be more prevalent, more evident. So that also means that as we're healing these deep discords for generationally for thousands of years, there's deep wells of grief and emotion that moves through our physical bodies, but don't get stuck in it. Allow your being to be the transmutation vehicle for it to transmute and transmit. So when the grief is felt, then there's a rays of lightness that comes on the other side. So pausing to have the experience, but then making it mutable, right? Malleable, moving through it and moving it into another expression. So you're pausing, but getting stuck in nothing. That's what I want to say. Can you be in the full expression of the yin, right? And I'm filming this on June the 12th. 12-day has to do with the leadership and the power of the one, of the new beginning, and the duality and the balance of the 2. This is a yang expression of the one and a yin expression of the 2. When they come together to create the yin and the yang, to create balance, right? To create even the balance of the divine masculine and divine feminine, which is actually the 3rd piece of this, which is we are really experiencing a divine feminine integration. We are experiencing an awakening, and there's lots of coding coming in of the divinity of the feminine rising. I would not be surprised if in the next few weeks we don't see some significant shifts coming around movements involving women and the movement of women too, much as we have, but I'm just feeling that there's something else crackling in the surface or beneath the surface. So we're coming into this divine feminine initiation that's going to be mirrored and matched. There's a fire in it. Like, I'm really getting a lot of the fire energy of the feminine. And on June the 20th, 21st, we have the solstice, which is an activation. It's the greatest light of the day, greatest light day, right? The sun, it's greatest sun of the day. Again, it's a very yang energy. It's a transmission. It's fire, right? It brings us into summer, into the blaze of summer. But we also have a solar eclipse, right, within the same window, in the same time span, in the same day. And so the solar eclipse actually activates another light frequency. And I keep getting that it's the codes of the divine feminine activating through the fierce fire of the feminine, not just the yin aspects, but the yang aspects, to balance and mirror and marry the masculine to the feminine. If we remember, the divine feminine is about the mother, right? It's the mother coming in to lick the wounds, to help, to heal, to support, and then to activate, mwah. You've got this. Now get back up, get back out there. You've got this. I got you. You've got this. So there's an activation of this, the light of the feminine, fire activation. And then the solar eclipse, also on the summer solstice, right? We also get to see the shadow, right? Any eclipse is a full culmination in getting to see the shadows of what lies behind. And the shadow work is always what has limited the greatest expression of this. So we have a lot moving through in the second half of this month. I almost said the second half of this year, because really it could feel like an entire year in the short span of the next 2 to even 4 weeks. It's that crackly and prevalent. And then the fourth piece of this update is they wanted to speak about manifestation. And they want to speak about manifestation as having a new pulse, a new vibration that's going to feel very different. Because from the 3D, everything, there was this longing and desire for something that you did not have, that you wanted so greatly, right? And from basic laws of attraction, we know that the more you're longing and wanting, you're holding the vibration of disconnect, discord from the thing. And the more you're creating distance and separation through your longing to the thing or the experience that you most want, right? It's based in separation. Oh, I want. And even the affirmations of, I will have, or I desire, as opposed to the proclamation of I am experiencing, it is here now, I am in gratitude for the sensation, to align to the sensation of having, as opposed to aligning to the sensation of longing for. So we know this, but now we're moving into more of a fifth dimensional vibrational sequence. And from that space, what we will begin to see and feel is, I desire this because it's an expression of me. Wherever there's a desire, it's because there's a fundamental piece of you that's in alignment with it. You would not dream it or wish it if there wasn't a resonance of the existence of it already alive within you, right? You're not going to dream of something that isn't already aligned completely within your soul's expression. It's how dreaming works. It's how manifestation is created. First you vision, you have the dream, it's the spark that flies through. It's that ignites, right? It's the whisper that comes, that sparks and ignites into a creation. So manifestation in this new frequency is shifting, and they almost gifted this as almost a cautionary statement because it is rapid. Okay, because you're rapidly moving into an expression where you do not see yourself separate from, but rather in alignment to. And so if you are still playing in the pulse of the 3D predominantly, and you are in fear and you are in the attraction mode of discomfort, it is going to be amplified right alongside the ease of manifestation of the things that you are dreaming and already aligned with. So it is really essential, as it always has been, but it's accelerated now in these next 2 to 3, 4 weeks especially, to be very mind-filled, filled mind, to focus very intently and very clearly upon only that which you desire to experience. Because you are in massive manifestation mode, massive alignment. So if you are focused upon the discomfort or the lack or more of the pain, you will be amplifying it incrementally. So be mindful. Actually, more importantly than being mindful, be soulful, right? Move out of the constructs and limitations of the mind. The mind is constructed in the program of the 3D, but your soul is the wisdom that brought you here to this fundamental time on this planet that has never before been experienced, so that your soul wisdom may be in its greatest expression, because you are the transformation. And it comes from the aspects of your soul's expression and experience, never from the mechanism of your mind. Get out of your mind, lose your mind, get out of your head, and trust the true innate wisdom of your soul's expression. That is what is bringing us to the promised land. That is what is activating in the new frequency. That is what is awakening us to becoming new humans. Have a blessed and bountiful June. Enjoy the ride.